Okay, let's change tack. The world's leading business news giant Bloomberg top officials were in Lagos on Thursday to explore broadcast partnership with Nigeria's news leader, Channels Television. So a three-member team led by the group media chief executive officer, Justin Smith, who led the team here, and just exploratory meetings and tour of the facility. Is looking forward to expanding the scope of Pan-African or Sub-Saharan Africa business and financial markets reporting. At the end of that meeting, I sat down with Justin Smith to ask him a few questions about what was Bloomberg's view about business and economy in Africa, and why strategic partnership has been a success factor for Bloomberg.
And a lot of our news and our journalism is based on analyzing trends and data. And what's absolutely certain from the data, if you project out for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that this part of the world is going to be one of the most exciting parts of the world from an economic growth perspective, measured by GDP growth, propulsed by kind of demographic growth. This is one of the youngest and sort of demographic regions of the world. So I think Africa is at the beginning of a very, very exciting number of decades, and that's one of the reasons. And Nigeria, of course, is right at the heart of it as the biggest economy and the biggest country.
So you're sitting at the Bloomberg headquarters in New York, and you're reading out the news from the World Bank, IMF, OECD, and others talking about the emergence of new and big economies across Africa and the potentials over the next few years. You think Bloomberg is thinking, how do we get more into Africa and then out of Africa in terms of news reporting?
Yes, so already, Africa's had a number of the fastest growing economies in the world for the last 5, 10 years. I can't name them exactly off the top of my head. I know Ghana certainly has been at the top of that list, and I know that there's a number of other sub-Saharan countries. So we, and Bloomberg's, as a company, our growth is really tied to economic growth and tied to the opening and the sophistication, growing sophistication of financial markets. So our biggest presence actually in the region is still in South Africa, in Johannesburg. But our second biggest presence is actually here in Nigeria, and which makes sense, but is likely to continue to grow as we as this economy grows and becomes bigger and bigger. So I think across the region we've got 5 or 6 bureaus. I think we have one of the largest foreign journalistic presences in Africa on the continent. Again, focused on business and financial markets primarily. But our hope is, and actually one of the reasons I'm visiting here, is that we want to expand and we want to become a more well-known local brand, particularly amongst the business community, the financial community in Nigeria. That's a very important objective for us because we think that Nigeria will grow and grow and grow as a business and financial center for this part of the world.
One of the things that Bloomberg prides itself in is about partnerships. You have footprints across the world, and you've always leveraged relevant and important partnerships to achieve being a global brand when it comes to news and markets, business and markets reporting. Is that what you're looking at for Nigeria?
It is. I think we recognize, that as a U.S.-based global company, actually the majority of our company's revenues are actually outside the U.S. As a whole. So we really are a very international company, but we recognize that our heritage and our culture and our background is from the West and from America in particular, and even New York City in particular, where our headquarters are, and that to operate successfully in local markets that are different in various ways is oftentimes a challenge and something which is best overcome. There are challenges which are best overcome with local partners who know the lay of the land, who have existing resources, existing capabilities. But what's really important when we look for partners is to make sure that we find partners that have a very similar set of values and a similar set of understanding of the importance of quality journalism, the importance of independent journalism. In our case, obviously, the importance of data-driven journalism, because a lot of our journalism, which is business and financial focused, moves markets, and and has a huge impact on the global financial system every single day, whatever we report. And so people have come to rely on Bloomberg for its accuracy and for its focus on data.
And integrity of data and reports, which is #1 for Bloomberg.
Yes.
So I'm sure that is part of what you're looking for in looking for partnerships across, not just around the world, also in Africa, elsewhere in the world. And that's what you're looking for with Channels Television?
That's actually, obviously, Channels Television is is been distinguished, I think, not only in Nigeria, but I would say perhaps across Africa, as being one of the most editorially revered television organizations from an editorial perspective, meaning a true commitment to fair and unbiased reporting and to following the facts and seeking truth. And that's a very difficult thing for anybody to do. But what's interesting and appealing about Channels is that it's sort of built into the DNA of the organization from the founders on down, that this is the mission of the organization is, in fact, to produce great, high-quality, independent journalism. And that's very interesting to us as a potential partner.
And in particular, in today's world of fake news and what of view when journalism is becoming a major focus for world leaders, political leaders, policymakers, and investors as well.
Yes. No, I mean, listen, there's never been a more important time for quality journalism. And, Bloomberg is very proud. We have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, newsrooms in the world with 2,700 journalists around the world. And, we have our own, just like Channels, I believe, does, we have our own very, very rigorous methodology and processes and systems for producing really, really high quality content. And in a social media world where there are filters, editorial sort of kind of curation methods, editorial judgment methods are oftentimes non-existent, on many of the tech platforms in particular, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and others, Google and others. And so, it's ironic that that as the business models of journalism-based media are under pressure from the tech platforms, actually there's never been a more important time for the journalism-based platforms to be strong and to bring great content into the world.
Welcome to Nigeria, Justin.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here at Channels Television.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to be here.
We appreciate you being here.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We'll take a break. We'll be right back in 2.